Hello and welcome to Do It Yourself. My name is Nico, and today we're going to talk about making challah, and in particular, we're going to cover my special recipe for Rosh HaShana. Okay? We're going to take a look at the ingredients we need. We're going to talk about a couple kashrut issues and just go over the procedure of baking. And by the end of this video, you'll have a really good idea of how to make challah in, I don't know, maybe 6 hours maximum. Okay, so here we are in the kitchen. I'm gonna get ready to make the challah. It's not that different from making the dough for regular challah. The only big difference is instead of sugar, I'm using a bunch of honey, right? About 50 grams. I'm in Italy, we use the metric system. Sorry, America. The other things that we need here are a couple eggs, and I'll show you some pictures close up of eggs because there's a little issue with kosher, with keeping eggs kosher. You gotta make sure that there's no blood inside the white part of the yolk. Excuse me, the white part. And if there's blood inside of the yellow part, you have to throw that yellow part away. You can't use it, okay? Because we're told 3 times in the Torah to not eat blood, okay? So that's a stringency that we have to follow. I've just got some regular salt. You hear of kosher salt, but that's really big rock salt. It's not something you have to worry about. It's used for making meat kosher and isn't something that you really have to deal with. Minerals really can't be not kosher. And yeast. I've got this powdered yeast. Be careful about yeast because there are many products that are made with some sort of grape juice extract. And once the grape is made into juice, it's wine in potential and is no longer kosher unless Jews are in charge of that process. Okay? And I've got my whole wheat flour here, and I also like to mix it with a little bit of semolina because the whole wheat flour can be pretty hard, and the semolina softens that up a bit. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put the egg, the salt, the yeast, and the honey together in the bowl and mix it up in hot water. And warm water, because you don't want it too hot not to kill the yeast. And we're going to let it sit for about 10 minutes to let the yeast activate. After that, we slowly mix in the flour. Okay? Okay, so I didn't explain exactly the measurements for the warm water. I use 2 eggs. I use 500 milliliters of warm water, and then I just mix that all together, okay? And what's gonna happen is this slurry of 500 liters of water and honey and eggs and salt is gonna turn out to be enough for just about a kilogram of dough or a kilogram of flour. And that's gonna be all the dough that we need for our 3 big Rosh HaShana loaves. Okay, so here we are. See that my dough is not too tacky, it's not super dry, it's got some good flexibility, right? You don't want to mess with it too much at this point. And we're gonna leave this alone and let it grow. But before I do that, I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil in my bowl that I've rinsed out. You can see that I rinsed out all the flour and stuff in there. You don't need a lot of olive oil, just maybe a teaspoon. Just enough to get a nice thin film of oil on the inside of the bowl. And on on the outside all the way around the dough. And this way, as the dough grows, it won't stick to the inside of the bowl. And then we just cut a little X in there, and that allows it to spread and open up as it grows. This should grow, I don't know, it should take 3 or 4 hours to grow one time. And you punch it down and it grows again, and it's great. Now, if you're in a hurry because Rosh HaShana is tonight and you have to do this quickly, what you can do is you can get your kitchen cloth and you can make it wet with warm water and put it over the top of your bowl and boil a small pan of water. Put that water into your oven underneath the bowl with the dough inside of it, and that will create this very warm, moist environment, which will allow the yeast to do its work much more quickly, right? So maybe it's going to take 1 hour to grow as big as the bowl in that situation, right? Now, on Shabbat, I usually make a smaller portion, okay? But remember that Rosh Hashanah is 2 days long, and we have to have enough bread to enjoy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5, maybe 6 meals, okay? So there's that. The other thing I want to talk about with kashrut is that I get as much as my produce I get local, right? So even this flour I get from people who produce it right here in my region of Campania, right? And so that way I know that this flour was harvested, or the grain was harvested the year before, and I don't have any problems with eating new grain, which is a problem. Anything harvested after Rosh Hashanah, you have to wait until after the Omer, counting of the Omer, just after Passover, before you should be eating it. Otherwise, it's not kosher bread, right? So this way, because I know who's producing the flour, I know when it's harvested, and this is even flour that was harvested 2 years ago, so that's fine. The eggs are right here from a farm close by to my house. The honey, you try to get the honey. There's people who produce honey in the area too. So if you can do that, it's great for kashrut, but it's also good for ecology. It means it didn't take so much energy to transport these goods to your house. It's also good for your local economy because you know that you're supporting local farmers with this. Okay, so here we go. We've got our pasta made. We've got our covered, and now we wait, and I'll see you again shortly when we're ready to start fashioning this into chalot. Okay, here we go. I've got my dough, and it's time to make a special blessing where we separate a part of the dough for the priestly gifts. And then we destroy that because, well, I do, because I don't have a priest to give it to. But anyway, I'm going to just punch down my dough real quick, and I'm going to make a quick blessing here. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehafrish challah. Okay, now this bit here, I destroy in the fire. I burn it until it's completely carbonized. Okay, here I'm going to show you the 4 stages of what I'm doing here to make my apple buns, right? My apple rolls. So with a rolling pin, I'm going to take all the dough and make it into 4 equal parts. One of these guys I'm going to divide into 4 more pieces that I'm going to roll out into long flat pieces, and I'm going to put apple on the inside of them. Now I've soaked this apple in a little bit of honey. Well, not really. I just mixed it with a little bit of honey, and for at least as long as your dough is rising, if you leave the apple in the honey, it will make it really nice and sweet. I prefer Fuji apples because they're really sweet as well. And then we roll these guys up into little apple rolls, and then we're going to braid them together into a bun like this. And so I'm going to show you exactly how that ends up working. Okay, so for this last one here, we're just gonna roll it up. I just roll it away from myself and roll the apple inside the dough. And yeah, just kind of make this apple honey cigar out of the dough. Okay? And then for the bun itself, I'm gonna need 2 of the rolls facing away from going perpendicular from me, and then we have 2 more horizontal. We're gonna lay one over the top of one and make it go underneath the other one. And then we want to do the opposite. This one needs to go over the top of this one and go underneath the second one right here like this. Now we want to cross everything, so the bottom one goes over the top one. The bottom one goes over the top one. The bottom one goes over the top one, and the bottom one goes over the top one. Now at this point, I just kind of twist the ends together. I find if you twist them together, you get a much better adhesion. You know, you got a little bit of dampness from the apple and the honey. And at this point, we just put it onto our pan with the other buns. If you notice here, I don't have a baking sheet. I just use some excess flour and put that on the baking sheet, and that's enough of a barrier to keep it from burning. All right. So we're almost ready for the very last step. Okay, so my last step here, I've preheated my oven up to 180 degrees Celsius. And for my last step here, I'm just gonna give the bread here a quick egg wash, right? I've taken 1 small egg. I've made sure there's no blood in it anywhere. And I've added a little bit of water to it, and I've mixed it all up with a fork. And now with a brush, I'm gonna paint the egg wash all over the top of my challah. And what this is gonna do is gonna give the challah a very nice golden brown color. It's gonna be very pretty. And after that, I'm gonna drop sesame seeds for the top. Again, these are just to make it pretty. You know, these don't give a lot of flavor or anything. They just make things pretty so that we can celebrate the holiday in a very nice fashion. And after that, we just pop it into the oven, and it's ready to go. Well, I'm gonna put it into the oven for 20 minutes. I will repeat the egg bath and put it back into the oven for another 20 minutes, and then it's done. All right, here we are after 40 minutes. My 4 fresh honey apple chalot ready for Rosh HaShana this evening. It's not so rough. It's pretty easy to do. We went over all the different ingredients and different issues that might be with kashrut. I just want to thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, comment if you have anything to say. And we'll see you in the next video. Until then, my name is Nico, and thank you for watching. Enjoy it yourself.